What if I told you that your life won't change just because you made a vision board? It's not going to happen. And you know why it's not going to happen? Because you have no plan of action. You have no idea how to go about things. In this video, we are going to talk about why your life won't change just because you made a vision board. Before we get into it, make sure to hit the like button below, subscribe so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. With that being said, let's get straight into it. Point number 1, you need to understand that there's two different types of goals, long-term and short-term. Now, what is the definition of a long-term goal? Long-term goals are targets that will take more than a year to achieve. For example, buying a house, paying off debt, or saving for retirement. These goals require consistent effort over an extended period of time. The timeline is usually longer than a year, but it can also vary depending on individual circumstances and goals. So, in other words, long-term goals are things that are further out, maybe 1, 2, 3, 5 years down the line. Now, what is the definition of a short-term goal? Short-term goals are targets that can be achieved within a year. This could mean finishing a project at work, paying off a credit card, or saving for a vacation. These goals typically require less time and effort than long-term goals and often have a specific deadline. Now, keep in mind that the time frame for a short-term goal is usually within a year, but it could also vary depending on individual circumstances and goals. Let's take a look at the scenario with the vision board. How do most people set their vision boards up? They pick images of cars they want, houses they want, relationships they want, vacations they want, money they want, success they want, all these different things they want. Then they put those images on a vision board and they say, "This is what I want." But here's the thing. When you're doing that, are you categorizing them into short-term goals and long-term goals? You're not doing that. Instead, you're just saying, "I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this," and you're not categorizing them. And if you're not categorizing them, it's very easy to become overwhelmed and feel like you're not making any progress towards your goals. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to dream big and have long-term goals. What I am saying is that it's important to categorize your goals so that you can focus on the ones that are most important to you right now. For example, let's say you're in your 20s and you really want to travel the world. That's a great long-term goal. However, in order to travel, you're going to need money. So a short-term goal of yours should be to save up enough money for a trip. By breaking down your long-term goal into smaller, more manageable short-term goals, you'll be able to stay focused and motivated and actually achieve your dreams. So my point is, yes, you can have images of houses you want to buy in the future, but you also need to have short-term goals that will lead you to achieving that long-term goal. So what could some of those short-term goals be? They could be things like, I want to educate myself on real estate investing, or I want to start building up my credit score so that I can get a good mortgage rate, or I want to improve my personal finances so that I can afford a down payment. Those are all short-term goals that will help you achieve your long-term goal of buying a house. And don't think that I'm hating on vision boards. I'm not. In fact, I love the idea of having a vision board because it allows you to visualize your goals and dreams. There are studies that show that when you visualize something, your brain starts to believe that it's possible. And once your brain believes that something is possible, you're more likely to take action towards making it happen. So, a vision board is a great tool to use when setting goals, but it's not the only tool you need. You also need to have a plan of action, and that plan needs to include both short-term and long-term goals. Now, moving on to point number 2. Point number 2 is you're going to need some accountability. You know why? Because most people create a vision board and then they never look at it again. They just put it up in their bedroom and it becomes part of the decor. But if you want your life to change, you need to hold yourself accountable for taking action towards your goals. One way to do this is to find an accountability partner. This can be a friend, family member, or even a stranger. The important thing is that you have someone who will check in on your progress and keep you honest about whether or not you're actually working towards your goals. Here's another scenario. Let's say you have a friend who also wants to buy a house. You guys create vision boards together and you both put up the images of the houses that you want. But then what happens? Well, one person continues to work towards their goal while the other person gets distracted by other things in their life, and they fall behind. Who's more likely to achieve their goal? Well, it's probably the person who is being accountable to themselves and taking action every day, even if it's just little actions. You see, it's easy to get distracted and it's easy to fall behind. But if you have someone checking in on you regularly, you're less likely to do that. And that's why it's important to find an accountability partner when setting goals. If you don't want to find an accountability partner, you can always hire a coach or consultant. This may not be necessary for everyone, but it can be helpful, especially if you're working towards a really big goal. A coach or consultant can provide objective guidance and support as you work towards your goals. They can also help you stay on track and accountable, which can be really helpful when times get tough. So again, you can create a vision board with all the things you want, but if you're not holding yourself accountable, it's not going to do you any good. Moving on to the last point, and that is, you're going to need to get comfortable with discomfort. You see, if you want to achieve something that you've never achieved before, you're going to have to do things that you've never done before. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have to exercise. If you want to make more money, you're going to have to work harder or smarter. If you want to buy a house, you're going to have to save up a down payment. The point is that achieving big goals requires hard work and sacrifice. You're not going to be able to achieve everything you want overnight. It takes time and effort. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then you shouldn't even bother setting the goal in the first place. For example, let's say you want to achieve financial freedom. This is going to require you to live below your means, save money, and invest it wisely. It also means that you might have to give up some of the things that you enjoy doing in order to focus on your financial goals. Are you willing to do that? Now here's the thing. When you set short-term goals that will help you achieve your long-term goals, you're going to be faced with this discomfort. You're going to have to make sacrifices and you're going to have to work hard. But if you're willing to do that, then you can achieve anything you set your mind to. So here's my challenge for you. Create a vision board of the things you want to achieve, but also create a plan of action that includes short-term and long-term goals. Find an accountability partner who will help you stay on track. And finally, get comfortable with discomfort because achieving your goals is going to require hard work and sacrifice. You won't achieve everything you want overnight. It takes time and effort. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then you shouldn't even bother setting the goal in the first place. With that being said, it's time for me to wrap up this video. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button below. Subscribe so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Also, make sure to follow me on social media. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.